welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jesse Hubbard, and this is Sound Out. Joining me today is an incredibly talented musician, just released a brand new album, and we're going to get into that. But welcome to the show, Black Guy Fawkes. How you doing, man?
Good, I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, excited to talk to you. I'm a fan of your music, and we've been in contact for a little while now. Trying to figure out a good day and time to get this going. So I'm excited to be here with you today. Um, I'm just going to ask right off the top of the show, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but I think it'd be good to have this documented. Appalachian Folk Punk. Take me through it.
So, so I grew up listening to folk. Well, when I started this party, I listened to a lot of folk punk, and so my style's influenced by that. But also, I live in Cumberland, Maryland. That's Western Maryland. That's like the Appalachian region. So I grew up. So I living here for the last 9 years. I listened to a lot of bluegrass. I listened to a lot of jam bands. I listened to a lot of like acoustic music there. So I always that sound always kind of influenced me in some way, shape, or form into how I write today, and just made me like a better person when it comes to the music, when it comes to the community. That's pretty much what Appalachian folk punk is.
I like it. It's interesting to me how, I'll say this: the first time that I ever saw you perform was, I think it was last year, and you opened up for Nathan Gray here in Columbus, and it was awesome. I wasn't familiar with your stuff up to then, and I really enjoyed your set, and I've been following you since then. And I think it's appropriate that you're wearing a Frank Turner shirt right now because I definitely saw an influence there, and I know that he had an important part in kind of shaping your musical career, as it were. If you want to go into that a little bit, I think that's a pretty interesting story.
Yeah. So the basic story is when I was around in high school, I listened to a lot of pop punk and emo. So I grew up listening to like Green Day, My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, Taking Back Sunday. And then I got into like the whole pop punk scene with bands like Do You Remember when I got into like All Time Low for a hot minute. And then when I hit college, I kind of fell in love with that music. Not saying that I don't appreciate it, but I just fell in love with it. And I didn't know if I wanted to pursue music anymore.
It's kind of I think, I know there's a lot of people, there's the elder emo, people are joking about that and everything, like, oh, I'm an elder emo now. But there was something about that music that was a real time and a place for a lot of people of a certain age. It really captured that moment for them. And I'm not surprised to hear that people can grow out of that because it seems to be a very specific time in your life. Not that you can't continue to enjoy it, but you get what I'm saying.
No, I agree. It's yeah. I just know I can't relate to that anymore. I'm not a kid anymore, so I kind of grew out of that. And then I remember I was on this bus in college. We were going to go see a play in Frostburg University, and my friend had on Frank Turner's "If Ever I Stray." I didn't know who he was at that time, so I'm like, why the fuck is this dude screaming with acoustic guitar? And then and then they, then he said that's Frank Turner. I'm like, who the fuck is Frank Turner? Then
Yeah.
I they gave me Love Iron song on CD for me to borrow and listen to, and as soon as I put that CD in, it transformed my whole thought process when it came to music. I realized that you can be punk on an acoustic guitar. And I remember like that, like I guess that year I saw him with well, it was maybe like a few months after that I ended up going to a show with him, man. Going to a show where he was playing at Ramsey Live in Baltimore. And he was with Larry and his Flask and Jenny O. Youngs, and his that whole performance
Oh,
just blew me away. So he
what a fun
really kind of
lineup.
hits.
Yeah.
It was insane. And I've seen him so many times after that, man. He is somebody who truly influenced my sound. I can say with a full heart, if there without Frank Turner, there wouldn't be a Black Guy Fawkes.
Wow. That's a huge compliment, I think, to him because you're really kind of taking off, and making a name for yourself, and to kind of accredit that all to Frank. And I'm sure he's used to inspiring people, but nonetheless, if I don't know if you know him or if he's familiar with your music, but that's high praise, I think, for sure.
It is, and with Frank, he got me into his music, it got me back into Against Me. It got me into Gaslight Anthem. It got me into Two Cow Garage, which I'm thinking for like Lucero, like all these different acts. But I know Two Cow's a Ohio band, and my cousin, are friends of mine too. So
Yeah, they're great. They're great guys. Every one of those bands you just listed are some of my favorites. They're at the top of the charts for me. And I saw. I don't know when this was, but I was like scrolling and like looking. Just doing a little bit more research on who you are as a person and a musician, little background stuff. And I found a cover of 59 Sound that you did from Gaslight.
yeah,
You know what I'm talking about? It was a live cover. Is that recent or is that older?
oh, that was recent. So I was playing the show with my friend Aristotle Jones. I did it. I did. I did, recently I just started covering that because my new record, Intrusive Lullabies, I want to write. I started doing songs in a rendition of just like lullaby theme songs basically. So that's how I did my rendition of 59 Sound. And I wanted to play that because it was like that night. Well, for two reasons. One, I want to test it out, but two, the week before there was a shooting in Frostburg, and two students were shot and injured, and one person was killed. And all I could think was my friends who are younger there that were at that school. So that whole bridge of young boys, young girls, things supposed to die on Saturday night really kind of resonated with me. So that was kind of my tribute to them.
Wow, it's a beautiful tribute. I didn't know all that behind it. That makes it even more meaningful. Wow, that's heavy. And it was great. It was a great version of that song. I really enjoyed it. And that was the first time that you ever did it, huh? Live.
Yeah, that's the first time I ever did it. Me and my band, we covered we did a cover recently of American Slang, which is that's I've been getting into Gaslight a lot recently, and just Brian Fallon in general. He is such a compelling lyricist. Like it's so good. Sometimes I don't know what he's talking about, but it just kind of hits me. It hits me deep. Like American Slang in particular. When I heard that song, it I didn't know what it was about, but it just reminded me of growing up. Like, some of the lyrics
Yeah,
in there remind me of like growing up.
they really tap into something like deep within all of us. I think. I happen to love that song. American Slang as an album isn't my favorite album of theirs, but American Slang the song is one of my favorite songs of theirs, which is interesting. That song, it's just got that driving beat, but it's just talking about like, calling for his mother and his father, and not being, what I mean? Just like, damn, like what a, I'm not sure what, but that's the thing, right? Like I talk about that with musicians a lot on the show. That's the thing about a great artist. I don't know specifically what that song is about to him, right? And it sounds like you're saying the same thing, but we attach our meaning to it, right? And it means something to us because I think that's just such an incredible. I talk about that a lot, and I don't think I'll ever stop talking about that. I think that's one of the most incredible achievements in music is that you can write something personal as a musician and then have it mean so much to so many different people in so many different ways.
That's how most of the bands, like even the bands I just named off, like that's how they were when I was younger. Like I didn't have that many friends when I was younger. So, and I didn't have anybody really to talk to. So I would like, kind of lock myself in my room and listen to these records. And they kind of were my safe space. So music has always been a very therapeutic and now it's been a very cathartic thing for me. So how I write influences how I write now, but how those records helped me out when I was dealing with my own mental health and dealing with my own depression. I wanted my music kind of to do the same thing. So that was kind of my goal ever since my sophomore year of high school. I knew I wanted to get into music. I knew I wanted to write stuff that meant something to other people. Now I'm actually doing this, and it just
Yeah.
everything's full circle, and it just feels so good.
And you're doing it well. Do you find that do you have people coming up to you after shows or after they listen to your album and saying that to you? Because I think that does apply to your music. People can attach meaning to that in their own way.
That
Some
that
of it is very straightforward, and we know what it's about. But there's other things it's a little more ambiguous, and like what I mean, like that might mean what I think it means, or it might mean this.
Yeah, it's happened quite a few times, especially with this new record because this new record I just put out it is very personal for like a lot of different reasons, and I didn't write that for me to put out. I wrote it for myself first. but I've seen people really resonate with it. So I'm grateful that people are kind of finding strength or finding themselves in these songs and able to kind of work through whatever they're going through. Even like
Yeah.
even like on tour last year, there were people who heard my stuff or listened to what I was singing for the first time and really kind of and it really kind of hit home with them. So I'm thankful. It's a weird feeling to know that your music is helping somebody or let alone save somebody. So it's very again that's kind of a heavy thing to think about.
Do you look at that as a responsibility now that you're finding that out, or in that okay, I have a responsibility to do this for people, and will that affect the way you make music moving forward, or do you look at it more along the lines of I just need to do what I do, and if that happens, it's a beautiful byproduct, but I can't affect the process.
I would say it's the latter. Like well, it first and foremost I write for myself and well the subject matters of my songs. Some people may not relate to them, and that's okay if they don't. Because at the end of the day, while these songs are put out there for everybody to listen to, these songs are for me at first. So if people like it, then that's great. But if not, then I know I put out something that I'm personally proud of, and people will latch on to that, and people will find strength in them some way, or maybe they'll find it later on. It all just depends.
Yeah. I mean, there was no wrong answer for that question, but I think that was definitely the right answer. you know, because at the end of the day, you have to believe in it, right? And I think that's a slippery slope. Whenever somebody would start factoring all these outside factors whenever they were trying to write their music. So I appreciate that answer most definitely. Um, you touched on a couple things that I would like to get into if you're cool with getting into it. You touched on mental health, and that's something that is important to me as well, and that I've had my struggles with. You talked about how this was a much more personal album for you, and I've heard you say that before, or maybe in a written interview you said that before. Um, but those are a couple themes, and I'm sure that they are connected as well. So, if it's all right with you, I would like to talk a little bit about mental health, and I'm happy sharing some of my experiences as well and how that factors into your music.
Yeah. So I've battled with my own sense of depression for quite some time, and it was weird. Like I always knew when I was younger I wanted to get into music. I remember when I went to therapy, I was saying they said that I was dealing with depression and wanted to get on medication, but I didn't want to do that because I didn't want one pill just to make me feel better. So I poured all myself into music. But it wasn't until my first album, Trying Times, where I decided that I needed to get the help that I needed to actually get like clinical help. So I got on medication, and it helped out. It sincerely helped out a good bit, and I was very thankful for that. Then I recently just got back on medication too, and just started therapy. I
Good
went
for you,
through.
man.
Thank you.
That's a big step. That's a big step.
It is. I went through a very challenging 2 years of my life, and I dealt with a lot of drama, a lot of just mental instability. It was a very dark time, and through that, I started down a spiral. I started get out of control, and I started just to kind of go on a steady decline, like mentally. So it wasn't until I got back into therapy, I got my medication, and then through that, I started writing intrusive lullabies. Like maybe like a week or two after I scheduled all these things up. Um,
So this was a recent period of your life when you went through some dark times, and is what you're saying.
yeah. I wrote intrusive lullabies. I started writing that maybe like the third week of December, and I started getting over my mental health issues maybe around like November or so. I started taking the tracks just to get back on. So this album wasn't like a planned out thing. It really just happened in the moment. I wrote these songs. I called my producer Derek Shank and said, "Hey, I wrote these. Let's try to work something out with it. I feel like we can make something good with it." And then we spend like a day and I so everything that I record goes through Derek, my friend Derek Shank. He's produced all my albums, and he really understands my sound. He's a local legend around here, and so we I went to his house. We recorded all that in like a day, and then added on like other stuff like later on. And the final project was what's out now. So
Wow, that's did you find that writing? I'm sure you did. This is probably a silly question, but I'm sure that writing this album was a form of therapy in and of itself, right? Just getting that out, pen to paper, so to speak, and then you know, putting it out there into the world's a different story. Quite possibly a scary thing, but I mean, I don't know. You tell me. How was that process for you?
it was very cathartic. While medication and therapy helped me out, I knew that the last source of me getting better was just getting back into music. Because at that point, I really wasn't picking up my guitar, even when we had shows. That's my with my full band or just solo. I didn't want to go to them. I had to force myself to go to that. So to be able to write these out, to write out how I was feeling at that time, really got me through it. And really was kind of the stamp of like I know I can do this. And then even getting this record out there was the most terrifying thing of all time. And I
Because it was so personal, right?
correct. I deal with with each record. I've dealt with this battle of crippling self doubt, where I'm like, this is the worst thing I've ever written. This is going to pan out terribly. But when it came to this, because of the how deeply personal it was, and when it came to um mixed with the crippling self doubt, I was just at a tenfold, and I had a bad mental break maybe like a week, well, a few days before the album came out, but I got better the next day. I felt like I kind of needed that. I needed that sense of I needed that moment of freaking out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not surprised that. I mean, when you put something out there like that, when you put anything out, it can be you can have a bit of that, but when it's such a personal thing, and I said be happy to share as well. Not so you're not the only one that's sharing some of these things, and I'll tell you one of the reasons that I was initially kind of attracted to the Intrusive Lullabies title is like I myself, all my life since I was a child, have struggled with obsessive compulsive disorder, and when I see that term intrusive, and I'm like, what is this? You know what I mean? It's like, well, maybe there's something in there, and I went through my fair share of ups and downs, and I reached a point in my life about a year and a half, a couple years ago, whenever I went through a heavy downward spiral of depression. And and I got back on medication, got back in therapy, and I know how hard that is, and I'm on medication now, and it was the same thing. Like, I don't need it, I don't need this, I don't want this, just a pill because it's not real. Then I reached a point where like I don't give a damn what it is. I need something to make me feel better, from the doctors, because like I can't do this on my own. But I do know that along that journey, when I was in the darkest places and then pulling myself out of there to try to get back, out of my own head. I mean, I think it's what brings us all together is music was there for me too. And it was these same bands you're talking about, and some others as well. But it's one of the things I love about Frank Turner is, I'm sure you've listened to his new album and, Frank Turner Hardcore. And then, he talks about that stuff and it's just coming out of the pandemic and his experiences and troubles with depression, and all of these things, like life, death, happiness, sadness. And I could talk about it forever, about the power of music, but I commend you for coming on here and talking about your struggles with mental health. I try to be open about mine where it was something I was once embarrassed about. I find I've gotten feedback from people just being open about it that it's helped them and it's made them feel better about their situation, just from being public about it. From because like men, you know, us men are not usually open about that sort of thing, you know, and I think it's meaningful to normalize it. So thank you for helping normalize it.
And thank you for sharing that. Let me first say that I'm proud of you for getting through that. I'm glad you're still here today. Like I truthfully,
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that a lot. It means a lot.
you're welcome, man. I do agree that there's a stigma with toxic masculinity where we can't show that we're soft, and and it sucks because we have to admit that something is wrong. We can't just keep portraying ourselves to be this tough human being. We can't, and and the layers of that too. When it comes to me and mental health, I'm also with intersectionality to that. I'm also black male as well, so we can't show any form of emotion, or else we're going to
Yeah.
be looked at as being aggressive or being too soft, or we just look at as being just crazy. So I
And that's a whole added layer of just like difficulty that I can't even imagine. You know what I mean? Like you're so right though. It's just something more on top of it when you're already struggling. That's that's profound. I hadn't even considered that.
well,
Shame on me for not even considering that.
no, there's no shame on you at all for not considering that. It that stuff happens, and luckily so one person from Ohio area that I talked to that I find comfort in is Drake Talbot. Like I met
I love Drake.
I remember when I first met him at a when I first met him in Columbus at Big Room Bar, and when he played, I'm like, oh my god, this dude is just like me. He's stealing my thunder right now. I gotta take him out. Since then, we're just so close as friends, and I love him so much.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he's such a cool guy. He's a big wrestling fan too, so we bonded over that. We just geeked out over wrestling.
I truly love
Yeah.
just playing in Ohio, honestly. Like I played in Cincinnati, I played in Akron, I played in Columbus, and it's just such a fun state. Akron, I didn't realize has such a big. This is just my rant. My thing. I didn't realize Akron's had such a big like folk punk scene because there's house shows
I
going
knew that.
on
I
literally
didn't know that either.
everywhere.
Huh. Like a lot of emerging artists coming up in that scene.
My first time playing out of state was I played at this venue called Hive Mind in Akron. And me and my friend Aaron Outman, we stayed up there for like maybe like 2 or 3 days. And there's some I seen a few bands come out of there, and I do really love the area. I remember we went to one house show. It was the first time going to like a punk house show. I just remember I walked in, I felt like I was in fucking Scott Pilgrim because everybody's there is just drinking PBR, and I can't make this up. I want to go to the bathroom, and I'm looking around. I'm looking into the at the mirror. I just see a photo of Steve Buscemi just right in the corner. Then I go downstairs and I open up the fridge to get a beer. And there's another picture of Steve Buscemi just right in the back of the fridge, and it was it was the most insane experience. Then we're leaving it, and um, the the guy who was driving us around, I remember this vividly. He said he got in the car, we buckled up, and he said, "Hey, just so you know, I drank a little bit." And went, "All right, that's fine." He said, "All right, good." He books at 90 in a residential area, and we're freaking out, hoping that we don't die. But that's just me saying Akron is the best place of all time.
This wait. So this was your driver, and he just informed you guys when you're in the car, just so you know I drink a little bit.
Yeah, and just books it.
Oh Lord, that's I've never really spent much time in Akron at all. I've been in Columbus about 4 years, but I feel like I'm missing out on something. It's not that far from me. Wow, who knew? My knowledge of Akron is essentially just like LeBron James is from there. You know, I didn't know they could party.
They party. They party hard.
Do you get out to Columbus often
So
for shows?
um that was my first time playing in Columbus. I've been there last month. There I was there for my cousin's wedding, but I want to get back up there. Me and Drake actually are going to try to book some shows up in Akron together. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got him on for like a couple shows down here, and I'm in Maryland, and he's gonna get me on for like a couple up there in Columbus. So we're gonna try to work that out and get something together. We want to try to get Micah and like other people to come play the shows too. So I hit him Micah and Shane saying, "Hey, I might be up there. Let's do something together."
keep me posted. I'll be there. I'll be there for that. Just all you guys playing. That's awesome. I have I don't know when I'm going to be able to a chance to get this out. If it be in time, but on June 3rd, either upcoming June 3rd or this past June 3rd, I'm having a book release party for my newest book, and Drake's playing it, and so is Shane from Tucow are playing it as well. So it's going to be fun. If you're not doing anything, come out and hang out, man.
I would
Come
definitely
out,
try
say hey.
to.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it when we get off, because like this may all be in the past by the time this is sounds like fun. I should go to that. It's like, oh, it's like June 10th now, but yeah, we'll talk more about that. It's super fun. It's gonna be a good time. Anyway, I want to ask you about your stage name. So I don't know. I the legend of Guy Fawkes, I think is something for sure. And it's like what the whole remember the 5th of November and that whole bit and everything. And I'm sure a lot of people know, maybe at least have seen V for Vendetta, if nothing else. But I think it's when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's clearly that's a riff. You know what I mean? It's like, so where did that come from for you? And I guess um, I'll let you tell it if you just want to give a little bit more context as to who Guy Fawkes was and who you are and the bridge between the two.
So one of my favorite movies and comics is V for Vendetta. For those who don't know who Guy Fawkes is, he tried to blow up the British Parliament in on 5th of November. I think it was in like 1600s or so, and he failed at that, and he was burned. He was burned at the stake for that as well. But you may see his face when it comes to anonymous or when it comes to any sort of like anarchist political group, and over or just leaking information or anything like that. And the story of how the name got started. Me and my friend Jeremy Kaler, well, I was in college. We were sitting. It was when I decided I wanted to start doing solo stuff. We were sitting in our we were sitting in this office. This is all true story. Like it's not fabricated at all. I don't get a chance to talk about this, and I'm so happy about this
Okay,
right now.
we got a deep cut here.
We're I'm sitting in this office, and we're just talking about black anarchists one day because we really couldn't think about one. So I thought it'd be funny. There's an anarchist named Black Guy Fawkes, and you didn't know how where the black was supposed to sit. If black was like in quotes or black guy was in quotes. And I thought it'd be funny if instead of the Guy Fawkes mask, it was just a Spike Lee face that was just painted on Pan African. And, and you say, you should do that, and you should if you just write protest songs. I went, I don't know about that. He went, no, Ian, do it because that'd be a lot of fun. I feel like you can make something good out of it. So that was back in 2014, 2015. I guess it's just been stuck with me ever since. And the more I get into this project, the more I find to think about who I am and who Black Guy Fawkes is. And of course, we're both the same person. But the way that Guy Fawkes, depending on how you look at him, was a voice for like political protest and liberation for the people of London. I wanted to be the voice for, I guess, like social liberation. Because through this project, I found more of myself. I found more of a voice. So I want people. This project is supposed to inspire people to be who they want to be, and just you can draw, you can dance, you can play in bands, you can speak about politics. You can do whatever you want to do without fearing that judgment of what other people are going to say or do about it. So it's very again, and I learned more about myself along that. I learned to kind of use my voice to speak about these things. I never really considered myself to be a very, I guess, I'm not a protest writer. I'm not a political person. I don't put my pigeonhole myself. I don't box myself into that. I'm just who I am, and I speak about the things that I do care about the most, and that's make sure other people are safe, that this world is a better place, and that people can be who they want to be without fearing, without fear.
Yeah, it's a beautiful message to spread. And it's kind of to your point. I don't think any of that is even political. Sadly, people make it political in the current climate, but those are social issues. It's basic human rights. Equality, acceptance, love, taking care of one another. They shouldn't be political. You know, but they are, sadly, because of what things are in this day and age. And so I think, it's amazing that you're doing that. I think it's important that you're doing that. Was it difficult for you whenever you started speaking up and speaking out a little bit more about some of these topics?
Being black is hard enough. Being black and outspoken puts a target on you. I've been called slur starring shows. I've been
At shows?
at shows. I've been judged. I've been looked at the other way. And when I do speak out about this, there are venues that have kind of banned me from playing because I've been outspoken about my dislike for say Donald Trump, or I spoke out about my blackness anyway. And there have been bands that I thought I was friends with, but then it turned out that they won't speak about these issues when ask them to, or think that they're going to. They tell me that they don't want to get political. They just want to play music, and but yet they'll be in my DMs saying that I'm with you, right? It, it's it's frustrating because if you cannot stand up for me publicly at all,
Yeah.
then I want nothing to do with you. And you're not gonna speak out for basic, like you said, and like I say all the time, these social basic human rights issues. I don't want to have I don't want anything to do with you. If you're a musician, you have a platform to speak out about whatever you want to speak out about, and these are the important things too. Because at the end of the day, protect these people that are being disenfranchised, they could be your fans. And if you're not going to protect them at shows, if these things happen, then you're just wasting that, and you make them feel unsafe. I want to make sure that at my shows, the one thing I like about music so much is just the fact that it doesn't matter what social class, it doesn't matter or what background you come from. You go to a show for the same reason, to drink, to have a good time, and to see the bands that everybody enjoys. Is such a universal thing. So the fact that nobody will want to make these spaces safe for other people makes zero sense to me.
It's disappointing to me. It's this First of all, it's disappointing to me that a black man in the world today would have to deal with racism in general. But like, let's not be naive about it. It sucks, and it's the reality of it. And I can't even imagine how bad that is. It's a whole nother thing whenever you're at, I'm assuming a lot of these bills are like punk shows. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of these bands that you're playing are like punk or punk adjacent shows. And for you to have to go there and have people call you names or turn away from you, or the other bands not stick up for you, that is incredibly disappointing, and that hurts my heart too.
See, so some
That's
of these shows, it wasn't. Yeah, I won't say that some of them were punk shows. Some of them, some most of these shows that these happened, it was just me there, just me. Like when I was starting out, it was just like me, like doing like 2 or 3 hour gigs, and like during that, I'll just hear barrage stuff, and it sucked. But I I've always been very outspoken and proud of my blackness, no matter what. I get, but around George Floyd, when that stuff happened in summer 2020, everything kind of changed for me because it just kind of taught me that I'm not going to sell myself out for one paycheck. I've been told for different venues and stuff, dude, don't get political, don't do any do, and I don't know what exactly they mean. I, here's a fucking story, and I had to play this event, and the guy told me not to get political, like during that. And
this was like a promoter or the owner or
yeah,
something.
it was like the promoter, and I went, yeah, sure, that's fine. I won't get political. And then while I'm playing this 2 hour gig, he looks at me and he says, "Hey, do you know any Bob Dylan?" And
It's like, throw it back at him. Do you know any Bob Dylan?
the cringe, the sheer cringe, and it. Uh, my area is predominantly red. It is a predominantly Republican area. The amount that, and it's full of some cover bands there that I know are very conservative and I know are very Republican. The amount
Yeah.
of them that sing Rage Against the Machine shows me that they know nothing about lyricism or irony at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? This is ironic, but you probably don't know what that means. So keep singing your rage songs. Um, I mean, I get a lot of that. I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, huge, and I'm 41, so I'm still in the younger side of his fan base. You know what I mean? Because you got a lot of people that came up with him that are in their 60s and 70s, and it blows my mind how how many older folks I'll run into, and they'd be like, you know what? Because I'll wear my Bruce shirt or see him at a show or something, and I'd be like, I'm like, I always love Bruce Springsteen, but then he started getting political. I'm like what? Like, you probably think "Born in the USA" is a song about how great America is, don't you? You know what I mean? Like, have you ever listened to the lyrics? He's always he's not. It wasn't until the last 20 years or so, to my knowledge, that he came out and started um, campaigning for Democratic candidates for the presidency. But he's always had social commentary. And again, not politics, but social commentary, things about the right and wrong way to live your life, and all throughout his career, and like doing good for your fellow man and woman. And I just, for people to say that, just to your point, you don't listen to the lyrics at all. You just hear a pop beat in the song and think, oh, America or whatever, or like, it blows my mind. And I used to just kind of like poke back and be like, "Oh no, well, have you listened to this?" Now I just laugh and just, I'm like, "Okay, it's like, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna change your mind. You're like, you're not gonna be like, you're not gonna be tone deaf your entire life, and then I'm gonna be like, actually, and you're like, you know what? You're right. You just changed my mind. It just doesn't work that way."
I've been trying to get into Bruce like a lot more recently. Of course, I listened to Born in the USA, and I somebody I've been listening to it a lot recently just because I wanted to check it out in its entirety. But somebody compared my this new record to Nebraska, so I want to go back and revisit that album. I'm like, oh my god,
I see that.
it's so bleak, and it's just so well crafted.
Yeah, that's a good comparison, honestly. Um, if you ever need a definitive Bruce Springsteen playlist, I'm your guy. I'm happy to put one together for you. And I'm talking deep cuts, rarities. I'm not talking like the radio hits. Like he's uh he's he's my musical hero. And it's funny, everybody's like, like, oh man, you really grew up in the like punk rock, like, but Bruce is your guy. And I'm like, well, yeah, but absolutely, because I'm from Jersey originally, right? And it's like, but he's not just like, it makes more sense than what you realize. People, obviously, he's not a punk musician, but he was inspired by the Clash whenever they came up. And you look at all of these artists that we like today that are from what I call the Church of Springsteen, including Frank Turner, Laura Jane Grace, The Hold Steady, Brian Fallon of Gaslight, Tom Morello, all of these musicians that came up on him and love him, and Dropkick Murphys, they all collaborate with him. And it's he's much more a part of that modern version of that world than what people realize, I think.
No, I agree. Like again, like all the bands you named off, I always, as soon as I heard Brian Fallon, as soon as I heard like Chuck Reagan, I said to myself, yeah, they're Springsteen fans. And
No,
while he doesn't have the voice of Springsteen, I love Craig Finn and Hold Steady. I, I,
me too.
I
And he's a huge Springsteen fan. He's got that weird kind of like, the weird like, I don't know what I call it, talk singing. You know what I mean?
I,
It's kind of like tape.
I tweeted once that I'm mad I didn't get any likes, but I laughed at it. I tweeted once that the whole study is just Springsteen for Randy Newman fans because
That's great, actually. That's great. That's nailed it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
like
funny.
listen to Frank. He got me into like the whole study and like Gaslight Anthem and all that too. So I know he's a big Springsteen fan. He played with him, playing with Springsteen and the Chicks, I guess in London. And I'm so mad I can't go to that show because that's just
I
so
saw that.
stacked.
I had a couple friends that were at the show in Rome last night, and they were sending me videos and stuff. And there's the flooding, so I knew it was going to be a muddy mess in the infield, and it was. But they're showing me like videos. And I'm like, oh man, that's cool. Sam Fender opened for him. I don't know if you know Sam Fender, but he's awesome. Sam Fender posted a picture of himself on. He's a younger guy, and very very Springsteenian in his style. But he's really up and coming over there, and in the UK. He posted a picture of himself and just like tears running down his face, and the caption was like, "I just met the boss." And I'm like, all right, yeah, I get it. This is. I'm sorry. This is turned into. It's supposed to be about you, or this is turned into the Bruce Springsteen appreciation hour.
I'm cool with it. Fuck
Bad.
it.
Um, well, I wanna ask you about some upcoming shows because I know that you're playing Camp Pennsylvania in the fall, and that looks like a killer lineup, man. What's it like to be a part of that?
I applied it. They put up applications for Kent, Pennsylvania, and and then I just said, you know what, I'll apply. I told my backing band that, and they said, yeah, yeah, we'll be down for that. But look, the day after I applied to be a part of Camp Pennsylvania, they all just started following me and just started tweeting, just started writing about my music. Then 2 days later, I
That's a good sign.
did. And then 2 days later, we got the offer, and I freaked out because I didn't know who was going to be part of it at all. But then as soon as because we didn't find out the lineup until the day that they announced it. So that's how I found out that um Suicide Machines, Bad Cop, Wilhelm Scream, Warren Women. I found out they're all being part of it, and I truly love Bad Cop just so much. And
Oh, me too, dude.
I know that Homeless Gospel Choir is going to be on there as well. Me and Derek Zanetti, we recently just became friends, and he's a good human being. So I'm really just pumped for that show, and to bring my whole band with me along the way. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get out there for that if I can. Admittedly, like I don't know, what's punk rock, what's not. I don't know, but I am who I am. I don't like the camp at this point anymore. Like I like being outdoors. I love hiking and getting out in campfires and stuff. But I want a shower. I want a bed, and I want a TV at the end of the day. Right. So I need to figure out a way to get out there. I had a buddy a couple years ago. He was wanting to go, and he was like, "Yeah, we'll camp." And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, so I'm a city boy. So like, I'm like, if I can find a hotel close by, which I had to need to look into, but I know Terry from the camp, so I'll reach out to her and see if there are hotels.
Yeah, all the Riot Squad meeting, like Laura, Terry, Vera, they've all been just so kind towards us, and I'm really just thankful. And if you end up coming out, let me know. My friend Jake Matthews, he's gonna be driving. He's gonna be taking his RV and taking us up there. And
Cool.
Jake he's taken me to a lot of bluegrass festivals and a lot of bluegrass shows because that's his scene. But he's never been to like a punk festival, so he is about
Oh,
to have
cool.
the time of his life, or he's gonna be really just weirded out by it. So yeah, I'm ready.
You get to show them your world. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm ready to
yeah.
bring my band up there and just rip it up. I think we're playing like that Friday with I think Lenny Lashy on the on the like on one of the side stages, and it's just gonna be a lot of fun. And we've been talking to like Tsunami Bomb and Dolly Rods too, so I'm excited to meet them and kind of hang out with them for a good bit.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, it's the lineup's killer, and it's great to see you, up there with all of them. I think that's going to be more and more common as time goes on here, and you'll like, that's where you belong with all those names, and I'm excited for you. I wanted to ask you before I let you go, uh, what the and I want you to plug your album, tell everybody where to get it and whatnot here in a second. But like, what has been the reception so far? I mean, I know it's been really positive and people have been really loving it. That's not what I mean, but like anything specific people have told you, because you touched on a little bit about people saying, uh, you know, talking to you about their experiences. But has there been anything where it's like, oh, like wow, that's heavy, whether it's been from a review or a fan or anybody?
A lot of people have told me so far listening to it that this was probably my best work, and it was nice to be able to, I guess, to put this out there and just have that response to it, because I'm saying that everything else hasn't been honest with what I've written, but this album was a lot more honest than anything. And during that time of my life, it was just kind of me on my own. So I needed this record to kind of beat me up, needed to beat me on my own. Some people had compared it to Nebraska. Somebody compared it sonically. When me and Derek we started recording this album, we wanted to compare it. we wanted sonically for it to be kind of similar to Bon Iver's Forever Ago. And then I looked into the story of how that album was made and why it was made, and it really kind of resonated. That resonated a lot more with me. But yeah, so far I'm grateful for people kind of listening to these songs and listening and understanding the pain of finding themselves into it. And these
Yeah.
I'm grateful for. One thing that kind of surprised me though was the first single we put out. Yeah, the first single I put out for this album, well, for this record was "Gods and Monsters," and I was very, and I wanted that to be. I thought that would be the one that people were going to are really going to latch on to, that people were going to pay attention to, and really find themselves in. But there's a song on the album on the record called "The Great Sisyphus," and a lot of people have told me that that's probably their favorite one. So I was very shocked by that. But that's gonna be probably gonna be a staple like in my upcoming sets and everything too. And when I put out the last record, "Life Off from the Bomb," I was upset that it didn't get the traction that it that I wanted to get. It wasn't picking up a good start, but then things happened. I had to put it on hold. But that this is the album that people are kind of paying attention to, and they understand that while it's just me, it can still be as powerful. And but before anything else, I do want to give like three big shout outs. Well, four big shout outs.
Yeah.
Because without these dudes, they have kept me level headed. They have kept me sane. They kept me from going over the edge. And it's my backman and co-conspirators. Because without them, I wouldn't. I can honestly say without them, and I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So there's my guitar player Corey McGrath. He's been my A1 since day one. As soon as I started this project, Cumberland, he hit me about wanting to play with me. Then we just made it happen. He's been with me ever since. There's our bass player Zach Dodge. He just joined in the last 3 years. I felt so bad because he joined in February of 2020, and we had
We'll say 3 years. That brings us right about pandemic time.
yeah, he joined in February of 2020, and we had all these shows lined up that he was going to play. And then all of a sudden, nothing. But he
Yeah.
was still a trooper. And he adds
Yeah.
so much to this music. Then our new drummer, Char McGrath, he is just a beast. And he really just adds so much more to this project. So without all three of them, and if you end up coming to Pennsylvania, you'll get to meet them too. But without them, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And of course, our producer Derek Shank, who again one of my close friends, and I would honestly take a bullet for that dude. And yeah, those are I guess the four that I want to give a quick shout out to because they deserve all the praise. If you listen to like older records, well, the last record, "Life Love and the Bomb," you get to hear Corey and Zach really shine and really put in the work for that. And every single riff that he wrote, just blows me away.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool to like show gratitude and appreciation and appreciation whenever you get a chance. Um, and like give people their flowers, right? It's like it's something we all kind of get caught up in the day to day. So it's nice whenever there's people in your life that have such a profound impact on you and in a meaningful way to be able to show that appreciation. So shout out to all those guys, and I look forward to. I believe last time I saw you, you were just solo. I don't believe you had the band, if I recall. Um, so I'm looking forward to seeing the full power of the co-conspirators.
No, no, I can announce this. I know I know it won't come out till after I make the announcement. But the next show that we're having, full band. Well, the next two shows I have coming up that are going to be big. I'm going to be playing with Buffalo Nichols in Pittsburgh at Club Cafe
Yeah.
on Juneteenth, which I'm that already going to mean that show's already going to be very important to
Oh,
me.
this I'll make sure I get this out before then. So for sure, I'll see if I can get it out. Maybe I can like crank it out by the end of the week here. We'll see, just so we can get the stuff out and about.
So we got that. Then right after that, I, July in July I turned 30 years old. I can say that I accomplished
Yeah.
so much since 30. So I put on a
You're just a baby, man. You're just a baby.
all right. So there's there's there there are three times that I felt old recently. So and I blame all of Gen Z. Like I say that jokingly, but seriously, I blame all of Gen Z. But I want to go to the Hell and Mega tour with Green Day, Fall Out Boy, and Weezer. And I remember I'm in line getting a beer, and these younger kids there, they bought a Green Day T-shirt, a Dookie one, and they said, "I don't know what this means. I just like the design of it." And I yelled so hard, and I just walked away. I threw my beer down and just walked away. And then I remember I saw a lot of them there wearing American Idiot T-shirts, and I said, "You guys do not remember 9/11, so please just take these off."
What were the shirts? I didn't hear
American
you.
Idiot. Yeah,
American
I'm like,
Idiot. Yeah.
you guys do not remember any of these things, so please just don't do this to me. Then Weezer started playing, and just nobody knew who they were at all. Like they were playing like Beverly Hills, and they were playing like Buddy Holly and Jonas and stuff, but none of them knew who Weezer was, and everything just really just pained my soul. And the second time I felt well, like no, two more times after that, um, my my friend's daughter, she FaceTimed me and said, "Hey, Uncle Ian, do you know what Pokemon is?" I went, "Don't stop, stop." And then she showed me like Pikachu. I'm like, "Yes, I was there when it was written. Please do not do this." And there's a band around my area called Breakyard Folly, and I book so I my side gigs. I book shows at a venue here called the Deep End, and the brewery did Deep here in Cumberland, and I booked them to come play. And they played like a Blink song. They played "Damn It." I'm pretty sure. And I said, "Hey, that's cool. They played Blink 182." And they went, "Yeah, we love the oldies." And
Uh,
I walked away just so distraught and so and just completely life on where I'm at right now. But that's leading in to say, so I'm turning 30 in July, and I am putting on a festival. I've been putting on for the last 5 years now, called Fawkes and Friends, because my friend Charlie McCord came up with that. I did a prototype back in I think like 2018, and he just said, "Dude, call it Fawkes and Friends. That's just too funny. Just make it unbiased and just true news." I'm like, all right, bet we're gonna make it happen. And then it just evolved there. We had like a bunch of different acts come out this year. My friend Mike Miller, Endless Mike and Beagle Club, they'll be playing out there. Folk Punk, the Folk Punk Legends, the Eighth of the State, they're going to be out there. Jake, excuse me, Jake will be there. Jake Talbot will be there. We
cool.
have like a bunch more people like coming out for this too. So
That'll be fun. Yeah, send me that stuff. I'll post it on my socials and everything, and try to help spread the word to some more Columbus folks to get out there. That sounds awesome. I got a quick feeling old story for you as well. So I used to go almost every year to the Warp Tour, and I was going. For me, all these bands from my formative years were there, like NoFX and Bad Religion and The Offspring and Real Big Fish and Less Than Jake and on and on and on and all these great bands, right? And I was living out in the East Coast. It was in Long Island, 2009, and it was starting to get a little bit more into music that I wasn't as into, and they were kind of phasing out a lot of the OG punk bands and stuff. But 2008, 2009, they were bringing a lot of them back. Like you would see like CJ Ramone and Fishbone and NoFX and all, and some of these bands playing. It was really cool. Uh, and I was in line to buy some merch from Big D and the Kids Table. Super fun band. And there were these little, and this was 2008. This is 15 years ago, right? I was younger than you are now, and I was in line, and there was these girls in front of me. All right, they got out of line, asked me if I would like hold the spot for them. I was like, sure. And they came back, and they're like, "Thank you, sir." And I was like, I'm too old for this, and I never went back. That was the last year I ever went to the Warped Tour. Like
I
it was just like, oh my god, what?
I I went to the last year of Warped Tour the final year of Warped Tour because my friend's band Sharptooth they were playing.
Yeah,
Their old singer Lauren Cashin, who's one of my best friends and I love dearly. Shout out to her because she deserves all the flowers and everything more. I remember I forgot how hot it was at Warped Tour. because it was just burning
Yeah.
up the whole time. I remember I went.
It's like asphalt out the parking lot, you know?
And every year Warped Tour, I got injured. I was hoping that this I got slapped in the face my first year going. I passed out via heat stroke and woke up at a med tent one year.
Jeez.
And there's one the last year I went, I my friend dragged me down to go see Under Oath, and like because they were playing like main stage, and they got into like the first 30 seconds of their song, and some dude, 200 pounds, with steel toe boots, decided, you know what, I'm gonna crowd surf. I got
Uh,
kicked right in my neck with steel toe boots. I'm like, you know
uh,
what, I'm out. So I just walked back up, and I was going to meet me in the car. I'll be waiting there.
yeah, like this isn't fun anymore. Like, that's not that's not fun. No offense to Under Oath, but they're not worth that.
Yeah.
I'm being honest. Well, listen, man, it's been awesome talking to you. Tell everybody where they can support you and find your new album.
So Intrusive Lullabies is out right now. You can find that on iTunes, Spotify, Bandcamp, um, Napster, LimeWire, FrostWire, whatever you use legally or illegally, or Pirate Bay, whichever one. Uh, so you can find everything on there. If you go to my Facebook page or Instagram page, Black Guy Fawkes, you'll be able to find all my shows coming up, and you'll be able to find merch, and you'll be able to find just me posting just random stuff about my things and um, basically it. And while it came out last year, please stream my last album, Life Left in the Bomb. That's me, full band with the co-conspirators. Where this album, Intrusive Lullabies, is very intimate. This one's very more in your face and full on punk. So if you want to listen to that, highly recommend it. Unbiasedly,
I highly recommend it as well. Absolutely. I mean, like both of your last two albums are fantastic. So, I mean, there you have it. Like buy his music. Look for the shows, the Juneteenth show, the Fox and Friends show, Camp Pennsylvania, all this awesome stuff coming up. And man, thanks for being on the show. I had a blast talking with you. Super
me
fun.
too, man. This is definitely a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we could probably keep going, but I'm gonna let you go. We can talk about Warped Tour and getting kicked in the face and Bruce Springsteen and share war stories and all that forever. But I'm very appreciative of your time. Thanks again. For everybody, thank you for joining us for this episode. I have been your host, Jesse Hubbard. This has been Sound Out. Until next time, friends.
Yeah.